Tonight's episode of Q Weekly is proudly brought to you by Fitness First.
Good evening, welcome to Q Weekly on Bent TV. I'm Amy Henderson and we've got a packed show for you tonight. We're going to have a look at the AIDS Vigil from last Sunday. Brett talks to the Melbourne Spikers and we'll have our regular Q Calendar wind-up segment. But first, it's over to Vic, who's talking to Professor Steve Wesselingh.
Thanks, Amy. So Stephen, Director of the Burnet Institute. So what is the Burnet Institute about?
Right, the Burnet Institute is Australia's largest viral research institute, and we've really chosen to really look very carefully at the viruses that have major public health impact. And obviously, therefore, we've chosen HIV and hepatitis C as our focus. And we try very hard to look at those viruses and the impact of those viruses right across the spectrum, from fundamental biology all the way to international health outcomes. So we have some labs right next to the Alfred Hospital where we do all our work. Plus we have offices right throughout Southeast Asia working in the environment where HIV is having its major impact. So
you mainly focus on the sort of clinical research, but what about stats? Do you
Yes, no, we have an epidemiology and social research program, and so we actually do all the analysis of all the HIV and hepatitis C data for Victoria. But we're also obviously very interested in the overwhelming epidemic that's now occurring in the Asia-Pacific region as well.
What are some of the stats at the moment then? Say for instance, and I know that Papua New Guinea there's a bit of a problem. And what about other areas? So what are
well,
some
if we
of the
look globally,
numbers?
then we're looking at around more than 42 million people infected globally.
Yep.
If we look in our region, in the Asia-Pacific region, we're talking about 7.4 million people, so it's a lot of people infected with HIV. And then the country closest to us, Papua New Guinea, an hour away from Cairns, we're talking about 1 to 2% of the Papua New Guinean population HIV positive, which then adds up to more than 50,000, somewhere between 50 and 100,000 people infected with HIV, which is, for a country of 6 million people, is substantially more than the number of people HIV infected in Australia. So, and it's an epidemic that's only just reached Papua New Guinea. So that worries us a lot, and we're doing a lot of work both in our labs to help monitor the Papua New Guinea epidemic and also from a public health point of view in Papua New Guinea.
And that's something that people really need to get into context, don't they? Because we, while we might look at, say, a certain number of thousands, say in Victoria, of 7,000-8,000 infected, and we're looking at small population of Australia, to hear those sort of percentages or those figures in countries so close to Australia, that's quite scary, isn't it?
It is very worrying. I guess I take up your point about the smallish numbers in Australia. I think one of the aspects of that is Australia's responded very well to the HIV epidemic, and it's been a response to HIV which has come from right across the community, from positive people, from gay groups, from science and from the medical fraternity, and I think we've really responded very well. We have to make sure we continue to respond, and there are some minor concerns around that, but I think we can also pat ourselves on the back a bit, but utilise our expertise and move it into the region, into Papua New Guinea and the Asia-Pacific region.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of HIV/AIDS on this program over time, on Bent TV in general anyway, and covered many of the issues related to HIV/AIDS. And one of the things I've always been interested in is the cure for HIV. Now, for many years, or I suppose lately, there's been emphasis on better treatments, and we've been talking about the lives of people living with HIV, but you don't hear much about, or anyone sort of protesting about a cure for AIDS. Is that sort of dropped off the agenda? Why is it that doesn't seem to be happening now? 10 to 20 years ago, there would have been this great big emphasis on finding a cure, but it doesn't seem to be the case now. Why is that?
I think there's a number of reasons. One is that our treatments are so much better, And really now we can offer people who are HIV positive very good treatments to control the virus and therefore control the damage the virus can do to the immune system. Secondly, as we understand more about the virus, I think it's become clear that it's not biologically plausible to really think about a cure at this stage.
Right.
The virus secretes itself away in so many different cells in the body that to try and kill all those cells and get rid of the virus would be a very, very difficult task. And I guess, although we haven't given up completely, I think we're focusing more on things like a vaccine that would prevent infection, or a therapeutic vaccine which we would give to people who are already infected, but would enhance their immune response against the virus and help them control it better, hopefully without drug treatment.
All right, so with limited resources, particularly money, it's sort of, I suppose it's better to concentrate on what's achievable rather than what may not be achievable. There's been a couple of events lately that have been sort of been a part of World AIDS Day or World AIDS Week, and something the Burnet Institute has been involved with was a concert in Federation Square last night. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so we've put a lot of effort into organising the World AIDS Day concert at Federation Square, had some great acts, and really we wanted to utilise the concert to identify to mainstream populations what the problem with HIV/AIDS was, how big the problem was in our region, and that really Australia had a responsibility to respond to that. We also wanted to emphasise that this is a global problem, and the concert was therefore linked to other concerts around the world, San Francisco, London, where they're also having AIDS Day or AIDS Week concerts. And I think that message is a very important message.
Great. Thanks very much, Steve, for coming in.
Thanks for that, Vic and Steve. Now, last Sunday, Brett and the crew went down to check out the AIDS Vigil. So let's have a look at that.
I'm at the Positive Living Centre in Commercial Road, South Yarra, and this afternoon there is the AIDS Memorial Vigil 2004 and also the launch of the Australian AIDS Quilt website. Let's go inside and remember those who aren't with us today.
It's easy if you try. In today's short ceremony, we have two very special guest speakers. David Menadue, a long-time survivor of HIV/AIDS and author of his book Positive, and from the Burnet Institute, Professor Steve Wesselingh. You will also hear the beauty of the voice of David Rogers Smith, who will perform two songs for your enjoyment and your reflection. Today we will also see the launch of a new website that will eventually allow anyone, anywhere in the world, to view any panel of the Australian Quilt. The launch of this site and the site itself may encourage people to make a panel in memory of a loved one. This year we take an unexpected turn. There's no new panels being presented. This is not too surprising, as the trend over the past few years has been fewer and fewer panels being made for presentation. Why is this so? There are many reasons, but most importantly and thankfully, it is as a result of better medication and treatments which are helping PLWHAs to live longer and more productive and healthier lives. That is not to say that there are not people out there for whom panels haven't been made. It's never too late to make a panel for presentation and inclusion within the Australian AIDS Quilt.
I just thought I'd bring along my daily pills. Lovely little colours and lots of different shapes, 32 all in all, and many people in this room will know what I'm talking about when I say they're not exactly much fun to have to take every day. They're, they cause diarrhoea, they cause diabetes in me, raise triglyceride levels, and they don't taste very nice either. So they're a fairly, in some respects they're a bane in my existence. They certainly remind me of the fact that I've got HIV every time I have to take them. But for all of that, they've done something very important. As Colin said, they've changed the treatment prognosis for a lot of us with HIV to the point that I'd say they've saved my life. And I have to say, while I think obviously that's wonderful, we're all, not all, I mean we all know that we've lost some dear friends to HIV this year. It's been a difficult time in the last month for some of us who are good friends of Michael Rogerson, who was the president of Straight Arrows. And there are other friends I know that we've lost this year, and today is the day that we remember them.
And now this is totally unrehearsed, but with the aid of Randall at the laptop, we're going to attempt to show you, I have to remove the cover from the protector, attempt to show you how the website's going to work and how it's going to look. Right, so this is the front page, if I'm correct, Randall? Yes. Okay. We've tried to make it as simple as possible. If anybody wants to locate a panel within the Australian quilt, all they have to do is to put in at least the first name of the person. If they know more information than that, they can add more information up to about 6 words. And it will then give you a list of panels that have those names on them. And then from there you'll be able to click on that link and go straight to the panel.
Imagine no possessions. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. We'll have the brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people living life in peace. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one.
Thanks very much for that, Brett. And the AIDS Vigil was also the launch of their new website, where you can log on and see pictures of all the quilt patches. Stay tuned because we've got much more Q Weekly after the break. Rainbow Band are getting together again for their Christmas concert. It's at 8 p.m. at the Paran Market Courtyard in Commercial Road, Paran. And the best thing about it is it's free, so get along. For more information, check out www.mglc.org.au. And on Christmas Day, Positive Attitude is having a Christmas lunch. Positive Attitude, of course, is a support group for people living with HIV and their friends. And they're holding a Christmas lunch at the Old Fitzroy Football Oval. It costs $8 and people are asked to bring a gift up to the value of $5. You have to RSVP by the 18th of December, however, and you can get more information on 94710033 or 94780182. And remember, if you have a community event or something you'd like mentioned in Q Calendar, make sure you send us an email at feedback@benttv.org.au. And please include all your contact details so that we can make sure you get included. Now that's all we've got for tonight, but make sure you watch Bent TV on Thursday, 10:30 for Face to Face. Thanks for joining us.